Hello, I'm PX3 and welcome back to the video. There are now 7 mashup packs available for Minecraft on the console, with the 7th one of course varying from platform to platform. It's Halo on Xbox, it's Little Big Planet on PlayStation, and it's the Super Mario mashup pack on the Wii U. But yeah, there are 7 mashup packs and they all have the common trend of looking pretty darn terrible when you look at them in the vanilla or default texture pack. And I figured, why not go through each of them and do that today, because I happen to own them all on the Xbox One. So that's what we're doing today. Hopefully you all do enjoy it, because first of all, it's kind of just funny to look at. I think it's hilarious just to see how awful they look in, a texture pack they're not designed for. But the second reason is that because if you look at these giant builds that look like they're just unachievable normally, if you look at them using regular blocks, they look a little bit more like, oh, I guess I could see how someone did that, and maybe this inspires you in some way, or maybe just like laughing at it, like that's kind of my goal here. Hopefully you all do enjoy it regardless. If you do like the video, like and let me know, because it helps out the channel, and lets know you do like seeing, again, texture, mashup pack worlds look a lot worse than they're meant to, because again, this is something you're not meant to be able to do. When you start up a world, you have no control over the texture pack. You have to put it into, again, in this case, Chinese mythology, whatever the default one is actually meant to be. But once you've created the world, and once you save it, and then exit out there, you can then go in and you can decide what texture packs to load it with, including, in my case, every time is going to be default. So yeah, here's what the Chinese mythology mashup pack looks like. As you can see, it's an amazingly designed thing. Again, that's something they do. They spend lots of months doing this stuff. It looks really, really cool, and you might be like, oh, I have no idea how to build this stuff. But if we now switch out to survival, you'll see how different that changes. So as you can see, it's on autosave, so we just exit the game, and now let's go back in and let's see this same, mashup pack world, but with the default texture pack. Obviously, removing the music is a thing too, as well as some other few things, and just, it slowly shifts your perception of the world. Again, maybe you're doing it just because you're like, I want to laugh and be like, yeah, this is pretty awful, because again, with the Mass Effect world in particular, that is one that just looks so horrendous in the default one, because the more variants they put between the texture pack and the default one, the more crazy stuff changes. So it looks like, again, there's just, you could see someone making this in vanilla. It wouldn't look very amazing in vanilla, but you'd be like, I guess someone did that. But yeah, if you look around just more and more, every now and then things get a bit weirder, like there's just cobwebs everywhere because they're not, I guess they're Chinese lanterns, they're not Chinese lanterns, so for some reason this is a cobweb city. Honestly, you could believe this is a spider city. So yeah, it goes from being the Chinese mythology world to the spider mythology world. I mean, I guess it could be Chinese spiders if you want to be kind of big like that. The dragon still looks pretty amazing actually, like almost exactly the same. A little bit rougher around the edges though, as you can see. Again, this is something that to me at least is like, oh, I could see how anyone could do that. When you see a build that looks like it's like just about okay, you could be like, I could easily do that myself if I wanted to. And then obviously you could switch it to the, the Chinese mythology, and suddenly you have an amazing dragon. So, yeah, looking at a few more things, I think it's the panda in particular I want to see, because, the panda still looks like a panda. Okay, so, again, maybe I guess we're starting with a relatively high bar here, but this one actually looks pretty normal in the default mashup pack. Like, all of the dragons look like dragons, the panda is a wait a minute. All of the dragons look like dragons, besides this one, who's a little bit too shiny for my liking. But yeah, everything looks just about okay, but, it looks significantly worse, but it's not humorously bad yet. But maybe when we move on to the second mashup pack, things will change, because I believe it's the Halloween one. So here we are in the Halloween mashup pack from 2015, I should mention, just in case it changes in 2017. But yeah, here is the Halloween mashup pack, and as you can see, the spookiness that, the immediate spooky vibe you get is kind of lost here, and everything just kind of looks like a normal house, actually. Like, oh, yeah, I could see someone just living in here normally. Like, it'd be a bit weird to make the front door app orange stained clay, but still, besides that, looks like a pretty normal house. And in fact, this village actually looks pretty good regardless. Like, again, the buildings are close together, but that's kind of what they're going for, and yeah, it's a nice little village. However, once we move, onwards a little bit more, things get a little bit more bizarre, because this was designed with a giant orange tint in mind, so it's kind of like seeing the daytime version of that, except the daytime version reveals all of the, the horrors that aren't really real here. Like, again, you look at this and everything just looks, one, a lot less creepy, but two, just a little bit worse design. Again, this in particular, like, that's not really the most amazing little thing in this, is there? Again, maybe it's not meant to be, maybe that's a thing. But yeah, as we look around past this little spawn area with its houses, you're going to see that things get, I'm assuming a tiny bit worse in extraction, because again, we've got the mansion over here. Again, just about looks like a mansion someone would build normally. I can't say it's better or worse or anything, but it's like, I guess that's just about normal. But then if we move to the things that were very deliberately Halloween-y, we're like, this is meant to be a morgue, is it? Not really selling me on the idea. Is this meant to be one as well? I love the things that were meant to be these giant spooky things. Again, without that orange tint, without that nighttime kind of feel all the time, without that just applying to it, it just doesn't really quite work so well. So I want to see a few more things of particular note. Like again, I know in this corner there's like a spooky desert little thing and some witches' huts. Again, like, everything, particularly this, just it has that spooky feel removed, which I'm amused that like everything kind of holds up quite well. Like usually there's a Actually, I think this might be the first example. Yep, this is the first example of just something that's just horrendously done. But yeah, you know, for the most part, like, I was expecting every texture pack just be destroyed and look awful and stuff. But, you know, this all looks just about okay. Like, the Sphinx, you know, this is kind of amusing to look at. Like, oh, I guess that's a Sphinx building. I mean, it actually looks kind of okay still, though. Yeah, but basically, you know, all of these things have changed, and they don't look, you know, even the cactus still looks like the Halloween cactus. But yeah, all these things have changed just a little bit, and I guess that's to be, you know, expected, but they still look like they normally would. Like, you could play this entire mashup pack in the default texture pack, and it wouldn't be quite as, you know, cool or spooky or anything like that, but it would still, you know, hold up. You'd never be like, what is going on there? Oh, it's just a weird texture pack mashup. Unless, actually, wait, maybe we get to here, maybe things change a little bit. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just not too much worse. You can still see exactly what's going on, which is interesting. I wasn't quite expecting that. So yeah, I guess, again, great opportunity to look at this and be like, oh, this is how you build a really close together city. If you want to make it look spooky and, you know, have dark areas everywhere, that's a thing you can do. So maybe you learn something from that, or maybe you do just think this looks a little awful to me. But to me, at least, I think it's like, oh, yeah, this is all solidly average builds. Like, not amazing, but not bad by anyone's means. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the next mashup pack, the Greek mythology one. So this is the Greek mythology mashup pack. So yeah, this came out actually in September of last year, I believe, and it's one of the, you know, more recent ones, and let's maybe go, wow, the first time I saw a few of the builds, let's go back and look at those same builds and see if they hold up in the default mashup pack. Again, I think they've been better at making, you know, texture packs, which just about hold your original builds, but, you know, as we go through, it should get progressively a little bit worse, and as you can see, like, already a tiny bit of the magic's lost here, like this boat, not quite as, you know, amazing a landing ship as before, you know, this pathway, not quite as cool as before, but let's truly look around to get a little bit more of a feel. So first of all, you can see that this village right here is actually based on an empty village. I didn't realize that was the case. I assumed it was something built with that. But yeah, if you look around at everything else, it's like, I guess this is okay. Like, this is, you know, I mean, you can look at it and it's, I guess it just makes sense. But, you know, if you look around at anything else, it's like, this isn't really amazing, is it? And particularly when we get to this labyrinth over here, as you can see, just the meshing of blocks isn't done quite as well as you might expect otherwise, although this Minotaur still looks amazing. But I think the labyrinth is the true test, because that was one of the first things that blew my mind. And as you can see, the walls look cool still, but the inside is just not quite as fancy. Especially, you know, the Minotaur being an iron golem, like, it's just like, it's not quite as, you know, like, as big of a deal there. So, yeah, still looks pretty cool. Still would make a cool battle map, by the way. But, you know, for the most part, in the default texture pack, not looking quite so incredible. Next up, we have the giant, you know, wooden statue of, I forget his name. It's a famous statue, but, here you can see, looks just about okay. I guess it's stained clay, not wood, my apologies. Yeah, as you can see, it still looks just about okay. It's a lot easier to see how you would build this yourself. Like, you know, you can look at the ridges and be like, wow, this is a statue that looks like it's made out of chocolate. I could totally do that myself. Again, maybe that's just me, maybe you can do that too. But yeah, as you look around more and more of the builds, you can see how, like, oh yeah, this is something you'd never decide to do in the default texture pack, just brick on brick on brick floor, because especially from this high up, it kind of like makes this weird effect, but still, it just about holds up. You're not like, this is the worst thing designed by man yet. We're getting into the bad territory, but we're not in the, you know, like, absolutely worst stuff ever territory. So let's just see a couple more things. The first one is Medusa, which, yeah, has its own multiplayer map. So if we fly through here, you can kind of see a lot of the mysteriousness is kind of lost right here. And if we fly up again, I believe maybe you have to go like backwards. Yeah, this is the actual bit the map's based on. As you can see, just these you know, these snakes, not really quite so impressive. I wouldn't say so. Yeah, that's, like I said, this is the start of getting into like the pretty darn bad territory. We're not in horrendous territory yet, but just we're not doing amazing. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the next one. So next up, we have the Festive Mashup Pack, except in the default texture pack, or vanilla. Again, there's lots of, you know, kind of variants in both those names. Minecraft doesn't really call it anything, it just calls it the Minecraft texture pack. But yeah, the one we all know and love that we play most of Minecraft in. And as you can see, even straight from the bat, you can see how bad this is going to get, because, you know, literally 20 blocks ahead of you in spawn, you've got yourself a well-made from mossy cobblestone mixed with quartz. It is not a good combination here. And this is, you know, this is, I guess, one of the texture packs, or the last ones they really did, where they decided to be like, oh yeah, why don't we just, pick a block that no one really uses and use that to make our festive blocks. And as you can see, it just creates this bizarre thing where, like, there's houses made from mossy cobblestone. They look more like a mob spawner than they do real houses, but it just gets worse and worse and worse as you go further in, because you'll notice that, first of all, there's snow on top of everything, but it doesn't really blend with, like, the normal blocks or the cobblestone. So, okay, there's snow on top of, like, most things, and that's kind of bizarre. I guess, maybe it snowed recently and most of the snow is gone. You know how that snow gets in real life, but as you see more and more and more, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. So, yeah, this texture pack also relies very heavily on this, the pictures, which in this case are just normal pictures. They're meant to be tinsel, I guess, but in this case, there's just a bunch of pictures going around the tree, because why not? Also, there's just a picture of a skeleton on Santa's house. Oh, 2 pictures of a skeleton on Santa's house, because guess what? Why not? The house itself is a really weird mashup of, like, what is this? Like, jungle and bricks and birch. Oh, that's a pretty rough combination right there. Oh, a random painting bell. But yeah, it's a pretty rough combination of stuff. But again, it's just something that kind of continues as you go along. Like, oh, I guess now we've got the train station over here. Looks pretty good and normal and stuff. And actually, this doesn't look so bad besides the tree. Yeah, basically, they made a few kind of decisions that make things a bit weird. Like, again, the signs on the side of the fence post. But actually, as you see it, again, even though on the one hand, it's like super weird in the default texture pack, which it isn't really meant for to be fair, it is also the whole kind of thing where, again, you can see how they did a lot of the stuff. And to me, at least, it's somewhat inspiring. Like, oh, you can place, paintings on fences. I learned that from a video, but maybe you're just learning that right now. Oh, you can totally use that for some cool stuff. Maybe it's the fact that if you look at the ceiling, they've covered the ceiling in snow, or quartz, I think it might be, but then they've had glass underneath it, which gives you this really cool kind of, I guess, hole in the snow that also works as like a skylight. I really like the way that functions, because, again, having glass underneath a solid block looks kind of silly until you have some holes in, so that's something I learned right there. Again, it's just tiny stuff like this that you can kind of learn as you go along that goes, maybe that's a building tip. Or maybe, again, you've just been focused this whole time like, ha ha ha, look how silly these buildings are. Why are they made from mossy cobblestone? That looks ridiculous. I don't know, you can kind of decide that for yourself. Oh, look. See, everything around here, like the paintings in particular, they were just so reliant on them that it creates this really bizarre thing of just like, what is going on there? But yeah, let's look inside. I think this is actually Santa's grotto right here. It's filled with presents and stuff. Let's see what all these presents look like in the default Mashup pack. So yeah, as you can see, we've got like a jack-o'-lantern and a brown wool and an end portal. Not really what I traditionally call presents, but I mean, I guess they've got a presenty effect to them. And yeah, long story short, this Mashup pack kind of suffers from the fact that, let's look over here too, kind of suffers from the fact that they really decided to take a few blocks and really customize them, which means when you look at them in the default texture pack, you just get bizarre things like, what is going on there? So yeah, the Festive Mashup pack, just kind of the start of things getting worse, because again, we're going reverse order, and they got kind of more and more reliant as they went backwards, which means when we go backwards to the Skyrim, I think it gets another step worse. I totally meant the Halo Mashup pack, not the Skyrim one, because again, this is the Xbox exclusive Mashup pack, and you can work out why that is. It's an Xbox exclusive franchise. Same with Little Big Planet for PlayStation, same with Super Mario. Although imagine how cool it'd be to have the Super Mario Mashup pack here. But yeah, with that said, let's stop with speculations, and let's start instead by talking about the Halo Mashup. So again, this is another step earlier than the Festive one, and although I don't think so far at least it's leaning too heavily on these blocks, it is such a very different theme to the real world that I think we're going to get some weird stuff. I think the first one here is this drop pod, or at least it's meant to be a drop pod or something like that. Instead, it's just a bunch of paintings, tiny paintings, inside a slightly bizarre build, but again, and then we're covered in gravel, which, oh yeah, everyone loves gravel, right? But yeah, so, not a great start to the thing, but if we look forward, maybe things get better, because, again, you're looking over here and you see that, I mean, this vaguely looks like a futuristic spaceship. I mean, not amazingly, because, again, diamond blocks don't make the most amazing beams, but still, it just about works, right? Like, having this covered in purple carpet, I kind of like it. It's almost a spaceship, so, yeah, not looking too bad so far, but let's go to the center of things, and let's see if things get better, or if they get worse. So, yeah, here you can see, oh, jeez, okay. So, I wanted to comment it, because I was like, oh, it doesn't look so bad up there. Look, it's just iron blocks and bricks and stone blocks, and then you get down to here, and you realize, okay, this is what I mean by, like, the Mashup packs would just take blocks and entirely, customize them. So, in this case, it was green wool and brown wool, and here you can just see, like, oh, okay, so this is meant to combine, is it? Bricks and green wool and brown wool. And because, obviously, they picked blocks which weren't necessarily used that often in survival, it meant you can just about get away with using the texture packs for the most part, but then, if you ever do anything in creative, or if you just happen to use bricks in survival, like myself, or, one of these other blocks, then you kind of just end up with the weirdest looking stuff, like, oh, geez, what is going on here? But yeah, this is just one. Oh, see, another one of these things. For the record, the reason I really love this mashup pack is because it actually comes with like a zombie survival game mode. Because there's 4 zombie spawners here that will, try and fight you, and they look like a grunt. I think it is in this mashup pack. It's pretty darn cool stuff. But yeah, let's look at the individual maps and let's see if any of them kind of hold up. So the first one here, as we move past this very bizarre thing, is one of the most famous maps. It's from the beta of Halo 3, I think, and again, it almost looks okay, almost not quite there. Okay, yep, not really there at all, but like, you can see the original map in there, which is better than can be said for a few other things. So Sandtrap, no, not Sandtrap. Sandtrap's the giant desert one with the giant tank thing. So I think that's actually found just over... Okay, I don't know my directions. I assumed it was over here, but it looks like that's a dead end. Oh, no, this is Sandtrap. So, yeah, Sandtrap, as you can see over here, looks just about okay, too, because it's mostly using sand. I mean, it looks very rough. Like, if you built this in survival, I'd be like, yeah, I guess... That's a good survival job. If you built this in creative, I'd be like, could you not use anything besides the sandstone? But again, this looks pretty good in the mashup pack, and it looks just about okay here. All the other things that are multicolored just look like, okay, what's going on there? I guess we'll accept that. Like this broken scarab, wraith. It's been so long since I played Halo 3, and I never really was too into the single player. So, this is a multiplayer map, but I was never really crazy into the game. But still, you can look around, you can see that things are starting to get a bit rough. And bear in mind, this just get worse and worse and worse because there's 2 mashup packs left. We've got the Skyrim, which will be next, and we've got the Mass Effect. And although we can save the Mass Effect for last, I don't think the Skyrim is much better either. But let's go there now and let's look. So yeah, here is the Skyrim mashup pack, which was probably the coolest mashup pack when it first came out, because the Mass Effect one was kind of like this, little trial of stuff, and like, oh, let's see what's going on here. But this is the first time they took like a really iconic thing from a game. In this case, I think it's River Run and Whiterun. I guess it's not Riverwood. It's probably Riverwood. Whatever. It's they took a pretty iconic region from Skyrim and they rebuilt it, but in the full game. It was really cool when it first came out. However, again, this was from the earlier phase of making mashup packs, so you get stuff like, oh, yep, I guess we'll just make this from Endstone, I guess, because why not? Or like, if you look inside, oh, look, that's built from Endstone too. I guess Endstone was the block they decided to be like, people probably aren't using that too much, let's use that as one of our blocks. And yeah, it creates this bizarre looking... also, the villagers are nothing like Skyrim people. It creates this very bizarre thing to look through. But yeah, also, same issue of paintings, where they're just like, yeah, let's just customize the paintings, make them like... They probably would have been blacksmith tools here or something. And yeah, you can kind of get the idea of like, oh yeah, things are kind of bizarre. Especially with the roof being blue, like, what is that even all about? But yeah, basically, this is an example of the earlier mashup pack design, taken even more extreme than before. And it doesn't look so bad because I guess Skyrim and the Minecraft palettes just about combine. But every time you get to a building that's meant to be something, so in this case it's Whiterun, you can just be like, why? Why is it green wool? Why does the wool have to be that? And then you look inside and it's like, oh, I guess the houses are rainbow houses. It's a rainbow Whiterun. And oh geez, this it just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? And then you finally end up with the grand master of all of it seems, which is the Dragon's Reach thing, which is it's a castle made from pink wool and never brick and bricks as well, just for good measure. As you can, and also a bit of sandstone. Isn't that lovely? But yeah, as you can see, it just there are reasons that people aren't too fond of this. Okay, look over here. We've got like an end star. Can we press these buttons? Just making sure they don't do a thing. But yeah, as you can see, you get up to here and it's just like, okay, this is the most bizarre mashup of just everything. And yeah, this is, like I said, it's kind of the problem with what they did earlier on, where they just figured, we can just pick our own blocks and do it that way. I'm kind of glad they have fixed that later on, because it means that not only can you look at this in the default mashup pack, which admittedly, you probably shouldn't want to do this. Like, not many people were exploring the Skyrim world through the default, texture pack, but it means that if you have a default world, you can switch it to Skyrim a lot easier. So yeah, as you can see, they can make the same amazing looking builds that they were doing back here. At least you can't see how amazing they look in the regular one, but they look pretty good. But they could do it without ruining existing worlds and making it look kind of normal. So yeah, let's just look at a few more things, like the dragon tower where you fight your first dragon. Again, what is this? What is going on there? And then finally, I think we've got Bleak Falls Barrow. I think that is, which actually, because it's made from obsidian, just about holds up. Not quite, because it's obsidian, but just about, right? Like, almost there, which is kind of cool to say the least. So yeah, here is here's Bleak Falls Barrow. That's meant to be like a golden claw thing, but instead it's Jesus riding a pig. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the final mashup pack, shall we? Which is going to be the Mass Effect one. So let's go there now. Okay, so this is the one we've been waiting for. It's the Mass Effect Mashup Pack. The very first time they made a themed world with a texture pack for the console, and they were really going after the Mass Effect, I think it's the Mass Effect 3 Mars base. And yeah, it's a really cool base, but it's a really small base. Like, it's the smallest Mashup Pack they made by a long shot, and because they just figured, you know what, let's just retexture all the blocks to be different, you get the most extreme example of just, like, what are we looking at? So yeah, as you can see, that's the Mars base right there. Looks really good. You could see someone building that in creative by themselves for the default texture pack, right? And yeah, it's not great. So first of all, this is like our little base we come off, and as you can see, looks really good. Again, filled with paintings, because everybody loves that. The building itself is made from diamond ore, gold ore, orange wool, and brown wool. A good combination of those, because why not, right? Everything we see between that also is made from ores, because who needs to use ores in a texture pack, right? And yeah, it just kind of progressively, not even progressive in this case, I'd say it's like, it maintains the same level of just like, what are we looking at the whole way through? Like, this is made from diamond blocks and coal blocks, and yeah, as you can see, default texture pack is not very kind to this at all. Like, I think the end stone you can just about argue is like, oh yeah, that's a simulation of the Mars surface. That looks pretty good. Good forward thinking. But you look at everything else around here and just like, what is going on here? Like, again, mossy cobblestone mixed with iron, mixed with diamonds, mixed with obsidian. The fact that they just retextured all these things that they could work together is kind of a sign of just like, ooh, yeah, not really so great. Like, look at them. just look at that and tell me you think that's okay. And if you can, then I'll say, I guess maybe we need to, maybe we need to send you to the place where they put the people that take too many drugs. But yeah, with that said, I don't know. Looking around the rest of this thing, it's just like, I like what's going on every now and then. Like, oh yeah, look, the far off distance, that end stone looks okay. But everything else is just like, like the mixture of the end stone and the netherrack. Oh geez, that's just the worst. The buildings themselves being made from obsidian. What is going on there? The insides of these even are just like, oh my god, like bookshelves with just it just kind of hurts to look at this whole thing. So I'm gonna resist doing that bit too much and kind of just point out a couple of other fun facts, because again, this was the first Mashup pack that came out about a year after Minecraft console release, which means that the rend distance was just enough kind of Mars out there that you could never see anything else. But because they then later expanded that render distance, you can now see that, oh yeah, I guess we can now see some, what is this, some cold side girl, like, from the place. And yeah, this is an example of why you need bigger mashup packs, especially when you have a bigger render distance. Just being able to see stuff like that is kind of bizarre. Again, why is there a desert temple there too? I'm not entirely sure. I think this actually came out before desert temples, so I guess they must have added that in later. Especially, wait, it depends on whether this is wool or whether it's oh no, it is wool. So I guess this is an old desert temple. So yeah, I guess this came out maybe at the same time as that. Either way, weird stuff is going on here. It's not a very good texture pack, and just every time I look at it, I want to shield my eyes from the pain, and maybe you do too, which probably should bring me to the end of the video. I hope you did all enjoy it. If you did all like the video, like it, let me know, because it helps out the channel, and lets know you do like videos about the things they've designed. I really think this shows the improvement in their design, not only in making better looking builds, but also making builds, making their texture packs themselves from blocks that don't have to ruin your existing worlds, because there is no way anyone is ever playing a default survival in the Mass Effect Mashup pack, and this is the reason why. So yeah, with that said, I hope you did all enjoy this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. So goodbye everyone.